Hi, it's Bill again. And if you see my last video, I said that I wasn't going to dive into my collection or my video game collection. But what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to show you every game, but I'm going to show you my favorite games from each video, from each system that I own. And we're going to, I might talk about them a little bit. Alright, well, this is going to be Gorilla again. So I'm just going to set my camera up and talk about it. Alright. Put the camera right there. Okay. Try not to look at the screen a little too much because I'll look like, hi, I did a video. I do unprofessionally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to attempt it to. Okay. Alright, there we go. First up, we're going to talk about Atari. We have to talk about Atari first. You know, company that basically started the home console craze. Alright. Oh, wait, no. First, I'm going to talk about some weird oddities in gaming. I mean, they're not exactly weird oddities, they're almost necessities that you have. First up, Game Genie. When this came out, gamers' minds were blown. I mean, they were like, I can make these games easier? With what these things called, what, cheats and codes? Oh, wow. That games always had cheats and codes, but they weren't really, they didn't really get around much. They were either in a magazine or word of mouth. They weren't on the internet because the internet wasn't readily available to people at the time. So we got, right here, the Camerica, and it also says Galoob. Cartridge, you know, Game Genie. And you can manipulate games with it. Of course I know that, and if you don't know that, shame on you. Also, people always say Super Nintendo did not have an expansion pack. It did. The Super Game Boy. You can play all Game Boy games on this. Even the bootlegs. Meaning the Bible games or the unlicensed games, like by Tengen or something like that. Play them on here too. What you do, two people my age, you know what this is. But to say maybe a younger person, a lot younger than me, 16, 17, even 18 years old, what you do is you take your Game Boy cartridge, put it in the slot. Now you might have to blow it out and clean it. Happens. Clean this thing a lot, actually. The inside. You do that, you pop it in your Super Nintendo, and you can play a Game Boy game, and a lot of them it adds color to them. Or you can add your own color to them. You can manipulate the colors. You can put borders, do whatever. It's almost like a paint program in some ways. Well, that's this. Alright, enough about the oddities. Let's move on to Atari. We're going to go right in a row here. We're going to, 2-bit, 4-bit, 8-bit, so on and so forth. First game up, Frogs and Flies. Now, it's in those weird cheap cartridges. But what'd you expect? I got this for $1. Frogs and Flies. You're basically a frog leaping from a lily pad to lily pad collecting flies. It's a 2-player game also. Alright, we got Pitfall by David Crane. Probably one of my most favorites on the Atari. Made by Activision. Activision was the first first company to acknowledge their programmers and talk about them. So that's that. The cartridge basically sold 2600s. Space Invaders. Good game. Basic game. Good game. The weird thing is about Space Invaders, if you ever played it in the arcade, as you would shoot, they'd get faster and faster. That wasn't in the programming. That was a glitch, meaning the processors couldn't process all the sprites on the screen. So basically, what happened was, as you would get fewer and fewer more sprites on the screen, it would get faster and faster because the processors could move faster. And when you got down to a certain point, it was darn near impossible to shoot. And if you did, you were really good eye-and-eye coordination. All right, we got River Raid here. Another good game, made by Carol Shaw, one of the first, if not the first, woman video game programmer. Props to her. There's a lot of people complaining that the gaming community is a male-dominated thing. Might be, but it's getting closer to 50-50. In programming, it's pretty much that too, getting closer to 50-50. I don't think it's a male-dominated industry anymore. I don't think it's dominated by any type of gender. I think it's pretty much equal now, which is right where we want it to be honest. But at this point in time, it was a male-dominated thing. A lot of women weren't into computers and programming at this point in time, but she was, and she made this game, and it's a really good game. Pick it up if you ever can, or try to find an emulator. We got Robot Tank right here, first-person shooter, the very first first-person shooter, I think, on a console. It's really good. You're a robot tank, basically by the title, and you're shooting other robot tanks. It's really good, and it starts putting you in other environments. It gets dark, it'll snow. Yeah, all this on the Atari 2600. Well, that's basically my 4 favorites on that, or 5. Let's move on to 8-bit. We'll start off with NES. NES, of course. Everybody my age had an NES when they were a kid, or you had a Sega Master System. I don't judge. I actually like the Sega Master System. First game up, the game everybody had, because it came with the Nintendo, if you're my age. Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt Track. Mostly these two. I was a fat kid. I didn't do this much. Maybe I should have. Love Super Mario Brothers. Best platformer, bar none, in my opinion. And then you got Duck Hunt, which was a first-person shooter. If you think about it, it was more of a shooting gallery game, but it was basically a shooter. And it's a really good game. Pick it up. I had a function at my church where it was guys' night out, basically, and it was basically a game night. And girls were there too, but it's just technically called a guys' night out. All the kids were, there was 360s and PS3s everywhere. But guess where all the young kids were going towards? The NES that I brought. Of course, I brought all my systems. Well, anyways, they were playing that like crazy. Like crazy. They played Duck Hunt for hours until I had to tell them to stop because it was time to go. Alright. We got DuckTales on the NES. Great game. Not easy to find at used game stores because if they ever get one in, people swipe them up. 2 is even harder to find, which I hope I find too, but I'm going to be paying a pretty penny, but maybe I'll get lucky. Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Another really good game in the NES. Don't find it very much in used game stores. Why? Because they get one in, people buy them. I got mine for $5.99. Good price for this, I think. I'll have to check it because I've seen this upwards of $20 to $30 on the internet. So, number 2 is hard to find also. Legend of Zelda. Now, my cart is not exactly in the best shape. Of course, I got it for $3.99. Usually they go up to upwards to $30 to $40 on the internet. That's not in box. That's just the cartridge in itself. And that's kind of the low end. Great game. One of the best RPGs, bar none, in my opinion. I have friends and colleagues that just love this game on the Mental Cast. Especially Jillian. Jillian likes this game a lot. Now we move on to Sega Master System. I don't have a lot of time. I have quite a few cartridges, but these are the ones that I play the most. Sega Master System, we got the first Shinobi. Yeah. One on the Genesis wasn't the first one. This is the first one. It's a really good game. You should pick it up if you ever get a Sega Master System. Cool story is I got 18 games plus the Master System and the controller and all the hookups for $50, all bundled together. I really liked that. So, yep, Shinobi. Good game. Altered Beasts. Now, this came with the Genesis, but this one right here, this is another good one. Basically all of my Master System games are all in box. Quite a few of them are. You can still buy them in box, which I'm astounded because they weren't paper like the NES ones, where they were these hard covers. Altered Beast, great graphics for an 8-bit game. Sound, Sega's never been known for their sound. In a lot of their cartridge-based systems, they got better when it came to the Saturn. But yeah, good game right here. Ys or Wise or whatever, I don't know. It's Ys. It's a great, really good RPG. And Ys Vanished Omens. I play this a lot. It's really good, and I'll sit there for hours playing this game. It's very challenging, but it's really good. Now we're moving on to the 16-bit era of games. But let's make a U-turn and go right to Game Boy. We got Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. Good game. That's all I can say. It's Tetris. It's a good game. Tetris Blast. Regular Tetris. This is the first game I got for my Game Boy. Really good. I no longer have the Game Boy, but I have a Game Boy Advance and it plays them. Alright, Game Boy Advance games. Oh, wait. Pokemon Yellow. Every kid in America probably had this game. Really good game. Alright, now we move on to Game Boy Advance. Tekken Advance. Game I love. Super Mario World, Super Mario Land, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2. It's basically Super Mario World on here. Metroid Fusion, really, really good. Game Boy Advance, really good game. I mean, I highly recommend Metroid Fusion. Castlevania. I don't have this for the NES, but I have it for my Game Boy Advance. It's the same game, just 8-bit form. Alright, now we move on to the 16-bit era, as we start off with my favorite 16-bit system, the Super Nintendo. We have Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I highly recommend this game. You take care of this game. You clean it often. You have this. I clean this at least every 3 weeks just to get the dust out. It's imperative that you clean it regularly. Sometimes I do it every week. But it's imperative that you at least do this once a week. Clean this cartridge. So you can save the memory and keep down corrosion off of this thing. Treat this like I got this for $45. More than I... 45. Actually more than I wanted to pay, but where was I going to get it? It was right there in front of me, and I had cash. Also, we could talk about 2 imports. 2. Super Mario All-Stars. We all played this. We all had this. So, the first 3 games. I also like the first 3 games in the NES. I didn't have those out there, but sorry. Oh. Doom, rare. This is rare. You don't find this often. I actually, stroke of luck, I got this for free. My friend Bubba gave it to me for free. He was just getting rid of a bunch of his games. He's like, "We're friends, take it." I took it. I love this game. First-person shooter. Not big in the first-person shooters, but I have some. They're good. Now we're moving on to... This is one of the imports that I really play. It's my favorite wrestling game ever. Super Fire Pro Wrestling 3. Wow, it's a good game. You're probably wondering, Bill, you have a Super Famicom. No, I don't. I modified my Super Nintendo. Basically, there's just 2 tabs that you just need to cut out on the inside. Because it's... Alright, as we show right here. 2 slots right here. There are 2, like... little things on the inside. All you do is you take wire snips, pliers, wiggle it, snap them off, and pop that sucker right in and it plays it. There's no difference between the pins. Alright, now we're moving on to Sega Genesis. Captain America and the Avengers. Good game. sound, voicing wise, well, it was the early 90s, so bear with it. It's comically funny in that aspect, but it's a really good beat 'em up game. Great arcade game too. We've got Steel Empire. Love this. It's a shmup. You can play as a plane or a blimp, and it's put in a steampunk dystopia or something like that. And you're a resistance force or an army or some sort. I can't remember. I have to read it while I play it again. But it's a really good game. I picked this up for $7.99. It's not too easy to find, but if you find it on the internet or whatever, buy it. Try to get it under $10 if you can. Maybe 20 if you can get it for 20 or under. You did decent. Power Rangers the movie. I like this. It's a good beat 'em up. It's a little repetitive, but I like it. Golden Axe. Another good beat 'em up. I just recently got this one. I got it for dirt cheap. I got it for $3. So I couldn't complain. Alright, that's it for 16-bit. Now we're going to move on to... Oh, wait, I didn't... Oh, last game. Sonic the Hedgehog. Need I say more? Alright, let's move on to the Nintendo 64. I don't have a Sega Saturn. If you want to give me one, I'd gladly take it from you. Give, not pay. Or if you're asking for a very cheap price for it, say around $50, maybe $60, I'll buy it off of you. 3 favorite games for the Nintendo 64 are all wrestling games. We got WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, and WCW vs. NWO Revenge. I'm looking for World Tour. I want that one. Alright, now we're going on to the Dreamcast. Ooh, Dreamcast! Which will be the last jaunt that we do here. I have got 3 favorites, utmost favorites, on the Dreamcast. Other than Seaman. It's a game. I'm not talking about Seaman. Doesn't appeal to me. I got this for $7.99. It's 2-disc. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Creepy game. Creepy. That's all I can say to you people. Creepy. Don't play it at night. Play it during the morning. Trust me, lock your door and play this game. Because if you play it at night, you will constantly be looking over your shoulder. And that's a bad thing. Alright, we got Soul Calibur. Awesome game. I can't recommend this enough. It's pretty available. It's not too common that you can find this, but you usually, if you do, they have quite a few of them in the store. If you find it. Get this. You can get it on the internet easy, get anything on the internet easy, but I recommend getting this. Last game up, Sonic Adventures. Awesome game. I recommend this highly. It's probably there's only 2 good 3D Sonic games. This is one of them. I recommend getting this. Get this game. Trust me. If you buy a Dreamcast, you get this. Get it. Well, that's about it. This video went a little longer than I wanted to. I hope YouTube actually boots it up this time. Thanks, and stay nerdy, my friends.